This episode is going to blow you away. There is a timeline that goes with it you can download. Go get it before you listen. It'll help you stay clear on the exact steps that Claire from Bean Goods took to go from 150,000 in sales to $1 million, okay? You'll find it in the show notes or fashionbrainacademy.com/beangoods, BEANGOODS. Grab it now. You are going to love this. Hey everyone, it's Jane and I have a fantastic episode in store. Welcome to Claire Wolfson from Bean Goods. Hi, Claire.
Hi, great, thank you.
You guys, this is going to be such a good episode. I know it because Claire is going to tell us how she has grown her business. She and her husband own an amazing business called Bean Goods. And she'll tell you about it in just a second, but I had her on the show a few years back when she had doubled her sales. And now I think it's 3 years later, Claire's business just did $1 million in sales last year. So she went from overwhelmed and frustrated and having no cash flow, like the profit margin was an issue when I first met her and she was tired. And now fast forward, she's got $1 million business and a lot of things have changed. So we're going to update you on that. Claire is so honest, you guys. She's going to share with you numbers and milestones and advice. We've taken questions from my club members. We're going to ask her, just buckle up, sister. So let's go. So Claire, if they haven't met you already, which I would be surprised, but if they haven't, who are you? What do you do?
Awesome. I'm Claire, and I, as Jane mentioned, my husband and I started Bean Goods, our brand, way back in 2011. So we've been at it for a very long time. We got seriouser about it in 2013. And we kind of chugged along for several years. And then we got even more seriouser in 2016 when we moved to the LA area. We live in Long Beach. And we kind of struggled for our first couple years in Long Beach. And I met Jane in the beginning of 2019, I believe. And that's when we got mega serious with Bean Goods. And that's actually when our serious growth started to happen. But by the way, it's a brand inspired by our wiener dog Bean. He's now 17. I've had him for forever, since I was 20 years old. And so it's all wiener dog themed clothing and accessories for both humans and dogs. And it's very quirky and niche and cheeky. And so that's what we do.
Your stuff is so fun. I don't have a wiener dog and I'm always like, I need this. And I have purchased masks with dachshunds on them and pass them around, and we love them. So let's dive into, a lot of people, the goal for many of us is I want to get to $100,000 and then I want to get to 250 and I want to get to 5 and I want to get to $1 million in sales. And you guys fucking did it this year. And did you do it on the day before New Year's Eve? So just walk us through when you hit $1 million, what was that like?
Yeah. So we set our goal to hit 7 figures this year in 2021. The year before we grew actually more than we grew in 2021. In 2020, we grew a little over 200%. So, and then in 2021, we're okay, this is the year we are going to hit that 7 figures. We're doing this. But we it took up until the 30th of December for us to actually hit that sales number. And so we had to pull some strings to kind of pump it up and really surpass that number at the end there. We did a couple of things. We did a warehouse sale, which we had never done before. And we were like, okay, like maybe this warehouse sale is going to get us past that number. It didn't quite. We still needed a couple more little pushes. So we also did a milestone sale. I was inspired by this other brand that I'm a customer of. It's a swimwear brand, but I saw her like trying to hit, I don't know what her number was, but she was trying to hit a milestone sales goal. And so that's where I was inspired by that concept, and it worked really well. Yeah, so we did that milestone sale.
Basically, Claire, you did a few things at the very end to tip the tipping point, because it was so close and you're like, I'm not going to get this far and not do it. So you went live and you said, you guys, I can't thank you for all your support. And we are at this thing, and yours could be the sale that gets us over the edge. And like, you were so honest and sincere and sweet about it that I was like, oh, I need to buy something. Like, it was really, you guys did a great job. And that just shows the depth of your marketing abilities, actually. Okay, so let's start with, I know you have some things you want to talk about and we have some questions, but for someone who's sitting there and saying, okay, I heard you on that podcast a few years ago, you had doubled sales, and I forget the numbers at the time, but what's that?
I have them all.
Talk us through the journey, because I think it'll be good for people to hear that you started in, what was it, 2011?
Yes. Like that's when the like concept was brought to life. But Chris and I both were working still like full-time corporate design jobs at that point. So like, it's been slow growth for sure. I mean, like these past couple years have been like, significant growth, but like up until that point, we were just kind of like slowly.
And let me ask you something. If you were to start over again with a new business, a new concept, but an online store, how long do you think it would take you to hit $1 million?
I think probably this time period between 2018 and maybe like 5 years.
5 years. Cut it in half.
3 to 5.
Okay, so good. All right. Give us the good. So you start out, you guys, so he's a graphic designer and you were designing your graphics, or you're doing apparel?
Apparel. My background's in apparel. I was like an associate designer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, you hit $1 million, you started to get extra serious in about 2018, 2019. Go ahead and start wherever you want to start and give us like some of the milestones and the
sure. Yeah. Like a little like road mappy type of thing.
That's what I love. Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna just look at my notes, because otherwise I'm gonna miss juicy details.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it's so much fun to look back on these numbers, and I looked at our growth between 2018 and 2022, and or the end of 2021, and it's 650% growth from 2018 till end of 2021. So in 2018, and I will, like Jane said, I have no problem like sharing our actual numbers. I really love hearing other people's numbers, so I'm like happy to share them. But yeah, at the end of 2018, we did like $135,000 in sales. And I would say like between 2013 and 2018, we were doing like a little over 6 figures. Like for all of those years, it was like pretty consistent with that. It was like no huge spikes or anything. It was just like around between like 100,000 and like 150,000 ish during that time.
And this basically you guys were working full time, doing this on the side.
Actually, no.
Okay.
I left my job in my corporate design job in 2012.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And so like between lots of stuff happened. Like we were on the East Coast for 15 months and like 2015. But yeah, like our income wasn't a lot. Like I wrote these notes about how I was feeling in 2018 and kind of like where we were at. And I wrote broke as hell. could barely pay our bills. We had like major cash flow issues. I wasn't, this is like embarrassing, but like I wasn't even paying attention to our margins really. I did get like a little bit of coaching through like the Small Business Development Center, but it was like really basic stuff. No like serious experts. Like I didn't have like an amazing like serious mentor with, you know, that understood where or like who our business was and where we wanted to go type of thing. Yeah. And then so in 2018 we're doing a lot of print on demand, and we were doing it with 2 separate facilities, and a lot of our margins come to find out were not good. Like there were like a lot of products were like 40%. And we were doing way too much discounting. I didn't have a mentor or a coach. We didn't have like a strategic launch strategy. I would set like yearly goals, but I wouldn't set weekly or monthly goals. And I wasn't keeping a close eye on our analytics. And so then
I think that's when I met you, right? When you were at the end of 2018, you had like a really good Christmas season, but you were exhausted. And one of the things that I think in your mindset was people are cheap. They just want discounts. Yeah. And that was something we started with there to stop doing as many discounts. Yeah.
Yes, definitely the discounting and the margins. Like those were our 2 like biggest issues in our business at that time. So yeah, I met Jane in 2019 because I think we started working together in like February, like the beginning of 2019. But I was super frustrated, like kind of scared. Like we just didn't have, our cash flow was like non-existent. And I was like, I never really thought of it being an option of like going back to any kind of corporate job, because that's just like, that's my kind of my worst nightmare.
Strong motivator right there.
Yes. So I was like, no, that's not even going to happen. But like we were in a tough place and we needed help. I was like, we need help. And so I was like, I'm going to get a business coach. And I found Jane through Tiffy.
Yep.
And another amazing business owner. And yeah, so we started working together. And so should I run through like a little overview of 2019?
Please do. Okay. I looked at our notes too. I listened to our last podcast and I was like, damn, this is a good journey. Let's go. Tell us all about it.
Okay, cool. So met Jane, started working with her in 2019, like around February time. And at the end of 2019, we went from that 134K to 244,000. So that was an 80% growth spurt. And I was like, okay, like we've got this. Like Bean Goods is going places.
Yeah.
We're not going into the ground.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I like the things that helped us get to that point. I was definitely finding Jane and finding a business coach. It was a huge help with like big picture strategy, like validation and accountability, just somebody to lean on and get solid feedback and advice as to like where to go from where we were at. So we improved our margins. That's kind of like where we started. We stopped working with one of the print on demand factories and we've like never gone back to them. The one that we had like the lower margins with.
Yeah.
And we greatly decreased the amount of discounts we were offering, and we started adding value as an incentive versus discounts. We really like got serious with our launch strategy, and we started doing these VIP launches, which we kill it with those now. Like that's one of our biggest, strongest launch strategies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got consistent with that. We added some new categories and new products. We introduced SMS marketing, which was huge.
Yep. And you got rid of some not low performing in sales, but low margin items too. You dumped like pillows and a couple things. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got rid of like all of our low margin products. We successfully had our first overseas product.
Yes.
Which the margins were like significantly higher. And quality was actually better than this particular product. Actually, there are Doxy hoodies or dog hoodies. The quality was actually way better with the factory that we still work with till this day.
And your very first order from overseas, it was for you at the time, a big order. Do you remember how much you spent?
Yeah. So we probably spent in total like 12 to 15K, something like that.
Yeah, that's a big risk. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for where we were at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we started a new brand rep program.
Yes.
We got our first intern and then she became our first employee. We hired someone to do our books and stayed with that same person for the whole year. We paid off a couple of our working capital loans, and we really started to focus even more so like on our community growth and with our Facebook group. Yeah. So
do you remember how much you had in loans? Not like your student loans, but like the business loans.
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to say probably like 30,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 40.
Yeah, it's
could be
in between. Yeah, in between 30 and 40,000.
So guys, you can see why they were stressed. They're working hard. They're getting, 135,000 in sales is nothing to sneeze at, but you're $30,000 to $40,000 in debt and you're tired and you've just had the best season you ever had. And you're like, I got no money to show for it. So it wasn't a great position. And then 2019, zoom, you did all this shit. Whoa.
Yes. Yeah. So, that gave me a lot of hope and a lot of excitement and just to keep going, keep pushing. So then in 2020, should I run through that?
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
So fun. It only gets better.
Yes, it does. So in 2020 was like huge for us. We went from that 244,000 up to 738,000 at the end of 2020. So that was a 200% growth spurt. Actually, yeah, 203% growth spurt. And yeah, so like some milestones in that year obviously was like that huge growth spurt. We had our first 6-figure month, which was so fun. We were able to move out of our loft that I'm at now. Like I'm at home right now. But we used to like run the whole operation from the second floor in this loft that we're in. So we were able to move out of move Bean Goods out of our loft to our first warehouse.
Fun fact, when they moved all the shizzle out of their house, they turned it into a tiki bar.
Yes.
Very good choice.
We grew our team from 3, which was Chris, myself, and Maritza, to 5. So we hired two new employees. We created a work environment that we were proud of. We donated over $10,000 to charity. We hired a new Facebook ads person. We fired a Facebook ads person. We hired a design firm, Docs Design,
yes.
we're still working with them. They're amazing, and they happen to be Doxy parents as well. So very much like they just understand our brand, like and our customer 100%. So we have been working with them to help us with our design load, because we drop a lot of new designs. Like that's part of like our whole spiel. And so they've helped us with that on a quarterly basis.
One thing of note. So Claire and her husband are the partners in the business, you guys. Her husband's the graphic designer. He's absolutely brilliant. And she's like, can you pump these things out faster? And he's like, I'm kind of busy over here with the production and all the stuff. So I just remember it being, you are super gracious and you guys work well as a team, but it can be a little awkward to be like, okay, I'm going to go hire another designer, even though I'm married to one. Mm-hmm. And you guys handled that beautifully. And Doc's Design stepped up and totally understood your brand. It worked out great, but that was tough. I think
it was tough. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was tough. It was just, well, it's tough for me, like you said, to just be like feeling like I'm nagging Chris.
It was awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah.
Like we're, like and I think he was honestly a little bit hesitant to let go of being 100% the person designing all of our graphics. Which I understand, because I have a hard time letting go of a lot of things. But yeah, it's worked out great, amazingly. So yeah.
So good. But that was a risk.
It was. Yeah, absolutely.
It was just another example of, having the hard conversation when it's not just the guy that runs that section, that's your husband too. And that's loaded. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So just a few other like wins from 2020 where we paid off nearly all of our debt. So like all of our, I can't remember if we might've had like a lingering, working capital loan during 2020, but like we paid off, like past tax debt and, credit card debt.
That was so huge and such a relief for you, as I recall. Like it was just, you were very strategic about it. You didn't just start like throwing money at stuff. You did this one first and this, but you were really smart about it. And you talked to your bookkeeper about it. And like, it was just, I thought you guys did it. That was huge, because that debt was weighing on you.
It was. Yeah. And like huge interest rates, all the things,
Yeah, all the things.
We did drop a whole new, product category in 2020 with like our harnesses and our leashes, collections, and those did really, really well. And then I wrote down that we went on a lot of little quarantine trips, Chris and I. So that was nice, just to like be able to like pretty much go to, Palm Springs, Ojai, all of our favorite little places, like a bunch of times, and not worry about, can we afford this type of thing,
Yeah. I remember you saying, like, when you went out for dinner, you're like, let's just get that wine. And it was like so fun. You didn't have to worry about every single cent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just a huge weight lifted, with that, with just having the cash flow, because cash flow issues are extremely stressful.
And you started using your cash flow sheet.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know if you always been doing those weekly check-ins that we did, where you did all the stats?
Oh, no. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not at all. Like I would only set, I've always loved setting goals, but I would do them once a year. I would just set like yearly goals, and I wouldn't do like the weekly goals or the monthly goals. And so now, I developed this habit from working with Jane, and then also just like feedback from other business besties that I have. We do weekly sales goals, monthly sales goals, and then I run through our analytics like every single week of just seeing like where we're at and if there's any red flags and stuff like that.
And just, you guys are clear. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, also seeing things that are like doing really well and being like, okay, like let's do more of that.
Yeah. Just so you guys are clear, Claire is very on top of her numbers now. And I wouldn't say that was like her first choice of like, can't wait to get real good with the numbers. Like you sort of forced yourself to do it. You stayed consistent and now you like it, right? I mean, it's,
I do. I love
yeah.
it. I love, yeah, it's fun. And it's motivating. And yeah, like for instance, you know, if you're at the end of the month and you're like, okay, we're not going to hit, we're struggling here. We need to do some marketing activities to hit that goal that we want to hit. It's like you know exactly where you need to go and what you need to do, you know?
Yeah. Cause if you only do it monthly, you're going to miss that chance. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, not at all. So now we're up to the 2021 mark, and I can run through that really quick.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so the 2021 mark, we actually had set our, we wanted to grow by 80%. In 2021, we ended up growing by 37%, which is fine. And we ended the year at 1,007,700. So we hit that 7-figure mark, which was like huge for us. Just such a huge small business milestone that felt so unattainable for so long. So that was extremely fun. Our conversion rate, some other like numbery things that I thought were really great were our conversion rate was up 11% last year to 3.69. Our returning customer rate was 37%. So we got a ton of new customers in 2021.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Our average order value was up 11% to $62. We had our best month ever in November of 125,000. We had our best day ever of $31,000 in one day that we hit at like 9 a.m. It was like crazy.
They had to turn off sales, guys, because they're like, we're not going to be able to fulfill this. So they hit 31K by 9 a.m. and had to be like, sorry, can't buy anymore.
Yeah, we were, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that was, by the way, which something I'll mention is our mystery packs are huge for us. And it's kind of, I've kind of been thinking of doing this is a bit of a side note, but we've been thinking of where we wanted to do a subscription box. And this mystery pack thing has kind of like validated that idea a bit. And yeah, these mystery packs have just been huge for us. Our customers absolutely love them. And that best day ever was Halloween mystery packs. Yeah. It was actually on August 20th, I wrote down. So yeah, just kind of like interesting little side note.
And you know what's interesting too about that is that we talked about subscription box in 2019, but it was so like, how should we do it? What should it be? What should it be? And then letting things just go. Now it's completely clear for you what to do and how to do it. Like instead of trying to force the subscription box, you got all your systems in place, you got your people in place, you got your outsourcing, you got your financials, and now you're like, oh, it's so going to be so not hard to do a subscription box now. It's going to flow instead of like pushing it.
Yeah, just kind of like validating, because we actually have a ton of customers that all they buy is our mystery packs. They don't even like buy any of our other like a la carte items. So it's super interesting. So it just like kind of validated the idea of doing a subscription box.
And by the way, that she knows that's just also the beauty of Klaviyo and segmentation. And like, you'll know exactly who to hit up first, or, you know, how to incentivize people to get in the subscription box. Cause you know, those are mystery box people. Like, so good.
Yep.
So good.
Yep. Totally. So I actually have I'll try to run through this a little.
We got time. Let's
go.
This is like goals. Like, can you imagine if you just started and you listen to this, you'd be like, well, okay, then I do this and then I do that. Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I hope it's helpful.
It'll be helpful.
So another thing that we did in 2021 was we committed to a new coaching program with
Yes.
I don't know if anyone in the club or in your audience is familiar with E-Myth, but I read or I listened to that book, and they have a coaching program that kind of like dives deeper into like your why, and just like the like the core of your business, like what it all means, and also like your personal life and where you want to go in life. And so just like really like diving deep into the life and business that we want to create. Kind of like, we never done any serious, believe it or not, we've never done any like traditional like branding work and stuff like that. So we committed to this program. We're still doing it now, slowly but surely. We hired another team member.
I'm sorry, an aside. One cool thing is, well, the E-Myth is an amazing book and an amazing strategy, but one cool thing about that program that you're doing is that it's a year-long commitment. So like you're in, and you, I don't know, it seems like it's been good for you because while it's hard to maybe find the time to do the exercises sometimes, you have a coach that you can rely on, and you have this time to do it. It's kind of a unique, I like that it's a year program. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, and their whole thing is getting like the whole purpose of it is to get you to a place where you're working more on the business versus in it. And
Yep.
up until that point, or up until like 2020, really, I mean, and I still work like pretty much mostly in the business versus on it, but like I want to get to a place, the goal is to get to a place where I'm doing more strategic work and working more on it, more like big picture and like stuff that I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good at doing, versus like all the nitty gritty stuff, like in the weeds
Yeah.
of the business, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually, side note, I'm pretty 99% positive that I found out about E-Myth through you.
Oh,
So
it's an amazing, I mean, it's a bit, if you guys don't know of the E-Myth, first read that book, E-Myth Revisited.
yep.
Get on board. It's a very simple concept in the book, and then they have programs that go way deeper. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Me too. So we hired two more people. We lost a person. We got really positive feedback from our employees that they love working for Bean Goods, and so that means a lot. That means so much, because like management and leadership and growing our team and stuff has I have no experience in it, so that just I don't know, that just means so much to have that kind of feedback from our employees.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, we had our first warehouse sale. We kept up with our taxes. Like I paid all of our estimated taxes for once in our business life. We got to go on a bunch of trips, and more importantly, we were able to leave our team in charge while going on those trips, which is a huge goal.
Yeah, and it was scary at first. You're like,
It was, yeah. So we did a handful of that. We got pre-approved for a home loan. We got Bean Goods trademarked. We switched from an LLC to an S corp. I haven't finished the Profit First book, but our bank account is now like set up in the Profit First like system, which is a huge improvement for better money management, cash flow situation. We hired someone to update all of our email flows And I wrote down, so like in 2021, 9% of our sales come from our email flows, which is about 90,000. So just, it is worth, putting in that effort into your flows.
Just so if you guys are brand new, your flows are automated emails, like abandoned cart, welcome emails, versus like a broadcast where you're like, I'm going to send an email right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then 2 more things. We implemented Google Ads finally. I'm not super happy with the ROI on that yet, but we did finally do that. That's been something that I've like wanted to experiment for a long time. And then we implemented an upsell app that was huge for us, that I think really helped with our average order value.
And pause. That is what we have for part 1. Don't forget, you can get the timeline notes. Check the show notes to get them, or go to fashionbrainacademy.com/beangoods, BEANGOODS. That's Claire's company. Okay, so you can download the timeline of all the things she did, the steps she took to get from 150,000 to that $1 million in a calendar year. All right, so in the next episode, she answers specific questions from our club members, including what got you re-energized when you were so exhausted and sick of it when you first met Jane. She says, we also go over, do you think getting an ads person is worth it, that monthly retainer, or would you learn it yourself for Facebook and Instagram ads? She answers a question from one of our members. She says, what was the key thing to make the jump from $200,000 in sales per year to $1 million? 200K is where this member's business is right now. Brand reps, good idea, bad idea, early in the beginning, wait. When should I start doing SMS texting? I mean, so many good questions are coming up, you guys. Oh, another one, she says, hey, I sell pretty well on Etsy. And now I joined the clubs because I'm building up my Shopify store and I want to have my own assets. Should I start running ads to my store since I'm just getting started with it? And if so, what kind of ads and what budget? So that is all coming up for you. I cannot wait. And don't forget, Claire is going to be, you can have really great access to Claire if you are a club member in March. She's going to be breaking down how she launches products and the process of getting people on an early bird list and all the things. All right, guys, have a great, great day, and I'll see you next time.